Guys, working in a care home can actually have more or other benefits that you'll not find in working in domiciliary care, from support to structure to career progression, that you may not find, or you may find to be different when you work in domiciliary care. But it doesn't mean it's superior over the other, or the other is superior over the other. So choices can be dependent on what you as an individual will be looking at when you look at a career and work setting overall. So, but then today in this video, we're going to look at the comparison between a care home work setting over domiciliary, or comparing a care home and domiciliary in terms of structure, support, and everything, and the work involved, so that when one actually think of switching or moving into another, they can actually look around some of these things. A big welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Florence, and on this platform we do talk about life in the diaspora, life abroad, and obviously we do talk about life in the UK because that's where I live. I moved to the UK 2 years ago on a skilled worker visa, and I do talk about my experiences and all the other things that I've actually come to learn over the years, over time. And today we're going to be exploring the difference between working in a care home over domiciliary care work. So one of the differences that I want to start off with is physical location, whereby if you're working in a care home, this is whereby you go to just one setting where there's a residents who live in an accommodation or in one building. Whereas when we talk about domiciliary care, you're talking about like residents or clients living in their own homes, in the comfort of their homes, and then you do travel from house to house and offer care. So that structured work environment is a big difference. It just depends. I wouldn't say it's mostly elderly in care homes, or it's mostly elderly in domiciliary care. This can vary from different age groups depending on what that care home can offer, or what sort of clientele that domiciliary facility does offer. So one of the differences that you find if you're working in a care home is that you do travel less, because I mean, you just travel from your place of residence or from your house to the care home in particular, and then you work your shift, be it an 8-hour shift, a 10-hour shift, a 12-hour shift. Whereas if you work in domiciliary care, you will be required to move from one household to another, from one household to another, which can take you like from 7ish in the morning throughout the day until maybe 10ish. And mostly this is like you do morning calls, dinner calls, tea calls, and bedtime calls, depending on the clientele needs. The other difference that I want to mention also is the fact that in a care home, you work in teams. It's like you go, there's maybe a team, depending on the size of the care home that you will be working in, you work in teams. This could be like you healthcares, your managers, your supervisors. You could find nurses again in there as well. You can also find housekeeping team. You can also find maintenance team in there. You can also find kitchen staff in there. So there's a variety of people in one work setting, and this actually entails that like there's a shared responsibility and also professional collaboration when you're working in a care home. These are some of the advantages that you find when you're working in a care home, whereas in domiciliary care, mostly it's lone working, you're on your own, depending on the care needs again of your clientele. Some calls can be single calls, whereby you just know where you're going, you're on your own, you're on a single run. So basically you're supporting these people, but you are working as an individual. But then again, there are other calls which can be double calls, which means it's you and a work colleague, or it's you and a workmate, so it's the two of you, but then no other staff with you, so it's just you working in people's homes. So this can feel a bit lonely, a bit isolated, and can actually require you to make certain decisions, certain challenging decisions that you have to decide there and then to say, okay, do I need to escalate? Do I need to do this? Do I need to ring somebody? Do I need to engage? So it sort of gives you the freedom to make decisions. It's sort of like also gives you the burden to make decisions on behalf of the organization, on behalf of the people that you're looking after as well. One of the things that I would say works so well or is a benefit for working in a care home is the availability of immediate resources. Suppose you're struggling with a patient or with a client, then definitely you can call on other people to say, okay, this is the challenge I'm facing in this room or with this patient in particular. Whereas in domiciliary care, you've got nobody to call on, like physically, they are away, so you're only stuck with having to make a decision or having to ring either family or the office for support or for resources. So in a care home, again, there's usually I've got access to equipment, supplies, and professional resources, which is the human resource bit. Whereas in domiciliary, you work with what you have, or you will have to find reinforcements. One of the things also that I would say can work well for you or can be a benefit of working in a care home is the closer relationship that you build with residents, because I mean, some of these people, you see the same people all the time, every day anyway, and so you now get to know them, get to know their needs, get to know their requirements, get to know their routine, and there's that continuity, that consistency. Whereas in domiciliary care, they could be like different runs altogether. Today you're on this run, tomorrow you're on this run, and you know, the amount of time that you get to spend with them, sometimes some calls are 15-minute call, 30-minute call, an hour's call, which is never enough for you to exhaust or to get to know them or to get to form really meaningful relationships with the people that you look after. But then it could work for some people who would say, no, I don't want the attachment, I don't want the relationships, I just want to get on with my work, and I love the freedom and flexibility of having those breaks in between. So that could actually work for you. So also, one of the benefits of working in a care home is career progression. Honestly, we cannot run away, that's a fact. Working in a care home presents a clearer path for career progression. Many care homes, they do offer training and development opportunities to staff to move into more senior roles, like becoming a senior carer, becoming a supervisor or a manager. Whereas in domiciliary care, the path is there, but really most of these domiciliary companies are smaller agencies, and all they do require is just people to do these calls. That's mostly what they require, so it can be a bit tricky. But if it's for you, if you're feeling like, I just want a relaxed environment, I don't have that much ambition, I'm not really looking into progression, into growth, I'm okay as I am, then that could be for you. One of the things also that could work as a benefit when you're working in a care home is the consistency in working hours. You know, when you go, if it's an 8-hour shift, it's an 8-hour shift. If it's a 12-hour shift, it's a 12-hour shift. So these could be day shifts or night shifts. So that could be rotated. But then in domiciliary, these things, they do fluctuate. Sometimes a patient or a client can actually go into hospital or can decide to visit family and cancel calls, which means you may not get paid. So it just depends, and some calls are shorter than others. I mean, 15 minutes call, half an hour call, 45-minute call, an hour call. So you could be out all day and be paid for 7 hours, or be out all day and be paid for lesser. I mean, depending on the number of calls that you're covering as well. Of course, sometimes the distance that you're traveling, that you have to travel between clients, also comes into play when it comes to the actual hours that you have to be paid. But then these things do differ from organization to organization. So I'm not speaking on behalf of any organization whatsoever. So the way people are paid or compensated could differ from organization to organization. Also, one of the things I want to dwell on when it comes to a care home is the varied responsibilities that you can have. Working in a care home, you get involved in a broader range of responsibilities, such as like organizing or coordinating activities, whereby you have a day room and then all the residents come into one place and then you're playing games. I loved this when I was working in a care home. Also attending to multiple residents with different needs altogether, whereas you may not get that in domiciliary care. I mean, you can't play games in 15 minutes or in half an hour or in an hour or 45-minute call. So you may not get the time to, enjoy these things. Also, you're focusing. One of the benefits also of domiciliary care is when you go into a call, you only have got one client to offer your attention to focus on. So it could work as a benefit to them and to yourself as well, that you focus on one client as well. So it depends with what you're looking for really in a workplace. So these are some of the things that I thought I would just bring light into in case somebody would want also to compare. Obviously, I do talk to other people who work in different care settings, and one of the things that I've had people talk about is the flexibility when it comes to working in a care home. I mean, I've said it to say they've got day shifts, they've got night shifts, they've got twilight, because there's a 24-hour care. Whereas in domiciliary care, then you have to work during the day all the time. It's daytime, there's no night shift, because night shift, people go to sleep, people go to bed. So you could be in those circumstances where you have children or you've got other commitments and you can only work at night. Night shifts do work for you. Night shifts are actually a plus to you. So you could really pick a care home because there's that flexibility to say, okay, I can work night shift, I can work twilight, I can work these shifts. Whereas in domiciliary care, it's all work during the day. So that could be a benefit, that could be a plus. But like I said, I'm not here to say which one is better than the other. And then there's a sense of responsibility when you work in domiciliary care, where you get to make those decisions, where you get to decide, okay, this is what I have to do. And again, you may not get that in a care home because, I mean, there's structure. If you're faced with the challenge, you pass it on to the supervisor there, and then they take it up from there. Whereas in domiciliary care, you're more or less like the eyes and ears of the organization. They're actually relying on you to make decisions on their behalf. They're relying on you to make sound decisions in that place. And so it's entirely up to you. One of also the benefits, or one of the things that I wanted to highlight when it comes to working in a care home, is the fact that it's a multicultural environment where you get to meet like different people, different cultures, all in one place at the same time. Whereas in domiciliary care, you may not have that in one place or at one time, unless you do have that many double calls. But then, I mean, it just depends with the work setting. So one of the benefits that I found enjoying is that cultural exchange, that oneness, that teamwork, and you get to learn a lot from different people, different people altogether. One of the things as well that I wanted to say about working in a care home is, really, suppose somebody doesn't drive, you don't drive, or you don't have a car, or you don't need a car, definitely a care home could be the best fit for you, because I mean, it's one location. You can take public transport there, you can walk there depending on how far it is from where you live. Whereas, as I've said this time and time again to say, you cannot survive domiciliary care if you are not a driver, especially in this country, because of so many things. The time factor in domiciliary care, you have to be in certain calls at a certain time. So sometimes if you decide to say, I will use public transport, it may not suit this sort of domiciliary care work. And so it's one of the things that I just thought, well, I'll throw in, and then one will have to weigh for themselves. Also, I mean, that would mean you're not having, if you're using public transport, if you're not having to drive, or if you're driving less, which means you don't have to have maybe business insurance on your car, because you're just driving or walking to the care home, and then you're in there for the whole shift whatsoever. But then you'd need a business insurance for domiciliary care. You'd need a car, a good car. When I say a good car, I mean a car that's in good working condition. And another thing that I want to mention is the fact that you need to be a good driver for you to survive domiciliary care, for you to manage domiciliary care, because I mean, you have to get there on time. Sometimes we are going into winter in this country, so your driving skills could come into play as well. So that's all I had today, just to bring in an insight to say that's the comparison that you need to look at if you're thinking of moving to a care home, or thinking of moving from a care home to a domiciliary care setting. These are some of the things that you may need to be aware of, or some of the things that you may need to think about before you do join. And guys, that's all I had for today. And until next time, bye.